Margaret's family had a word they used for what was happening to her. They called it slowing down. She was 78, and over the past 2 years she had, in their eyes, simply gotten older. She walked more slowly. She'd lost some weight without trying. She got tired easily and rested more. She'd become a little unsteady, so she went out less. Her grip had weakened. She'd started asking for help opening jars she used to open herself. None of it seemed alarming on its own. It was just Mom slowing down, getting older. Nothing to be done about it. But there was a name for what was happening to Margaret, and it wasn't slowing down. It was frailty, a real, recognized, measurable medical condition. And the most important thing her family didn't know, the thing that changes everything, is this. Frailty is not simply the inevitable result of aging. It is often preventable, and in many cases, especially when caught early, it can be reversed. And that word reversed is why I'm making this video, because millions of families are watching a parent decline, calling it slowing down, assuming nothing can be done, and quietly grieving a process they believe is one way, and they are wrong. The gradual weakening they're witnessing is, in a great many cases, something that can be halted and even turned around, but only if it's recognized for what it is, and only if the family acts. I'm telling you Margaret's story today because frailty is one of the most important and most misunderstood conditions in all of aging. It is the difference between an 80-year-old who travels, gardens, and lives independently, and an 80-year-old who is one small setback away from a hospital and a permanent loss of independence. Today I'm going to show you exactly what frailty is, how to recognize it, why it matters so enormously, and most importantly, the concrete evidence-based steps that can prevent and reverse it. Because here is the truth at the center of this video. Frailty is not a sentence. It is often a fork in the road, and your family can influence which way it goes. Before we go further, this is information that can genuinely change the trajectory of your parents' later years, and it works best when acted on early. Share this video with the family members who care about your parents' future. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, do it now. Every week one publish content exactly like this, clinical, honest, and built for families navigating the care of an aging parent. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming. Let me start by explaining what frailty actually is, because it's not just a vague word for weak or old. Frailty is a medical state of reduced reserve and resilience. Think of it this way. A healthy body has reserves, extra strength, extra energy, extra capacity in every system, so that when a stressor hits, like an illness, a fall, or a hospital stay, the body has plenty to draw on and bounces back. A frail body has depleted those reserves. The margin is thin, and so a stressor that a robust older adult would shrug off, a urinary infection, a bad cold, a minor surgery, can send a frail older adult into a spiral of decline they may never fully recover from. Frailty is, essentially, the loss of the body's buffer against life's inevitable stresses. Doctors actually recognize frailty by a specific cluster of signs, and knowing them helps you see clearly what slowing down is really made of. The core features are unintentional weight loss, losing weight without trying, as Margaret did. Weakness often measured by grip strength, the jar she could no longer open. Exhaustion, feeling that everything is an effort, tiring easily. Slowness, immeasurably slower walking speed. And low physical activity, moving and doing less overall. Look at that list. Every one of those signs is something families routinely file and are just getting older. But together they form a recognized clinical picture, and critically, a picture that responds to intervention. When you understand that Margaret's weight loss, weak grip, fatigue, slow walk, and reduced activity weren't 5 separate signs of aging, but one coherent, treatable condition, everything changes. You stop seeing an inevitable decline and start seeing a problem with solutions. Now let me explain why frailty matters so much, because understanding the stakes is what turns knowledge into action. Frailty is one of the most powerful predictors of poor outcomes in older adults. A frail older adult is at dramatically higher risk of falls, of hospitalization, of disability, of losing their independence, and of complications and slow recovery from any illness or surgery. Remember the video I made about the first hospitalization after 70. Frailty is exactly the condition that turns a treatable illness into a permanent decline because there's no reserve to draw on. Frailty is the thin margin that makes everything more dangerous, and frailty tends to be self-reinforcing, which is why it's so important to interrupt. It works like a vicious cycle. Weakness and fatigue lead to less activity. Less activity leads to more muscle loss and more weakness. More weakness leads to even less activity, and often to poor appetite and worse nutrition, which accelerates the muscle loss further. Fear of falling leads to withdrawal, which leads to more deconditioning. Each turn of the cycle makes the next turn worse. Left alone, frailty deepens. But here is the hopeful flip side, and it's the whole point. Because it's a cycle, it can be interrupted and even reversed. You can push the cycle in the other direction. Build a little strength, and activity becomes easier. More activity builds more strength and improves appetite. Better nutrition builds more muscle. Confidence returns, withdrawal reverses, and the spiral starts turning upward instead of downward. This is not wishful thinking. It is well established, and it is the reason frailty is considered a condition to be treated, not simply accepted. If you're finding this valuable, and I hope you are, take 1 second right now and hit the like button. It genuinely helps this content reach other families who are watching a parent slow down and don't yet know it can be turned around. Like and keep watching. So, let me give you the concrete strategy, the evidence-based ways to prevent and reverse frailty. And I want to be clear that these are not exotic or complicated. They are simple, powerful, and available to nearly every family. The single most important intervention is exercise, specifically resistance and strength training. This is the closest thing to a cure for frailty that exists, and it's dramatically underused because families assume older adults are too old or too weak to build muscle. That assumption is wrong. The aging body retains a remarkable ability to build muscle and strength in response to training, even into the 9th and 10th decades of life. Studies of strength training in frail older adults, even those in their 80s and 90s, even nursing home residents, consistently show meaningful gains in muscle, strength, walking speed, and independence. This is the intervention with the strongest evidence of all. Working with a physical therapist to establish a safe, progressive strength program is one of the most valuable things a frail older adult can do. Even simple resistance exercises done at home, done consistently, can produce real change. Alongside strength, balance and mobility training reduces fall risk and rebuilds confidence, and activities like Tai Chi have excellent evidence for both. And general physical activity, simply moving more throughout the day, walking regularly, sitting less, all feed the upward spiral. The second pillar is nutrition, especially protein. As I've covered before on this channel, older adults need more protein than younger adults, not less, and most consume far too little. Adequate protein is the raw material the body needs to build muscle in response to exercise. Without it, the strength training can't do its full work. Ensuring your parent eats enough overall, gets enough protein at each meal, and addresses any barriers to eating, dental problems, poor appetite, eating alone, is fundamental to reversing frailty. Strength training plus adequate protein is the powerful combination at the heart of frailty reversal. The third area is finding and treating the contributors. Frailty often has drivers that can be identified and addressed. Undiagnosed or poorly managed medical conditions, medications that cause fatigue, dizziness, or poor appetite, worth a full medication review. Depression, which saps energy and motivation, and is very common and treatable in older adults. Vitamin deficiencies, including vitamin D and B12, untreated pain that limits movement, poor sleep. Each of these, when found and treated, can remove a brake that's been holding your parent back. This is why a proper medical evaluation for frailty matters. It can uncover reversible causes hiding underneath the slowing down. And the fourth element, woven through all of this, is staying engaged and connected, because social isolation and inactivity feed frailty, while purpose, connection, and reasons to get up and move protect against it. This is the moment where I want to ask you something directly. If this video has changed how you see a parent who's been slowing down, if you're realizing that decline you assumed was permanent might actually be reversible, share this video with the family members who share their care. This is a message of real hope, grounded in real evidence, and it deserves to reach the whole family. Share it. Leave a comment below telling me what you're navigating with your parent, and subscribe if you haven't yet. I want to emphasize something about timing because it matters enormously. Frailty exists on a spectrum. There's a stage that doctors sometimes call pre-frailty, the early signs before someone is fully frail. This is the ideal moment to act, because it's far easier to reverse early frailty than advanced frailty. This is exactly why recognizing the signs matters so much, and why just slowing down is such a dangerous phrase. It delays action during precisely the window when action works best. If you're noticing the early signs in your parent now, the weight loss, the weakening grip, the fatigue, the slowing pace, that is not a reason to wait and see. It's a reason to act while the intervention is most effective. And even when frailty is more advanced, it is rarely too late to make a difference. Improvement is possible at nearly every stage. The goal may shift from full reversal to slowing the decline, maintaining independence longer, and improving quality of life. and those are enormously worthwhile goals. It is almost never too late to help. Here is what your family can do today. Reframe what you're seeing. If your parent has been slowing down, losing weight, weakening, tiring easily, moving slower, doing less, recognize that this may be frailty, a real and often reversible condition, not simply inevitable aging. That shift in understanding is the first and most important step. This week, talk with your parent's doctor about frailty specifically. Ask for an evaluation to identify reversible contributors, medications, depression, deficiencies, untreated conditions, pain, and ask for a referral to physical therapy for a safe, progressive strength and balance program. That referral is one of the highest value things you can pursue. Also this week, address nutrition. Make sure your parent is eating enough and getting adequate protein at each meal, and tackle any barriers to eating well. Ongoing, support the upward spiral. Encourage consistent strength and movement, protect nutrition, ensure medical contributors are treated, and keep your parent engaged and connected. Consistency over weeks and months is what turns the cycle around. Here's what I want you to carry with you from today. Margaret's story didn't end with slowing down. When her daughter learned what frailty was and stopped accepting the decline as inevitable, the family acted. A doctor's evaluation found a poorly managed thyroid condition and a vitamin D deficiency, both treated. A physical therapist started her on a gentle, progressive strength program. Her family made sure she was eating enough protein and eating with company. It was not instant, and it was not effortless. But over several months, Margaret got stronger. She opened her own jars again. She walked faster and steadier. She started going out again. The woman her family thought they were losing to age came back, not because aging reversed, but because frailty did. That is what I most want you to take from this video. The decline you may be watching in someone you love is so often not a one-way street. It has a name, it has causes, and it has treatments. Slowing down is not a diagnosis, and it is not a destiny. It is frequently a fork in the road, and your family, armed with what you now know, has real power over which direction it goes. Don't accept the decline as inevitable. Recognize it, name it, and act on it. The earlier the better. You may be able to give your parent back years of strength and independence and you had already begun to grieve. If this video gave you something real, something you're going to act on, or share with someone, or carry into a conversation with your own family, please take a moment to like it. Share it with the people who share your parents' care, because this message of hope should reach every one of them. And leave a comment below telling me what you're navigating, what's worked for your family, or what you wish you'd known sooner. I read every single one. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please subscribe. This is where I publish honest, clinical, practical guidance for families trying to do right by the people they love every single week. Thank you for being here and for caring enough to watch all the way to the end. That attention is exactly what makes the difference. I'll see you soon.